Good evening and welcome to the May 21st edition of WJTS News. I'm Bryan Kelly. Guilty on all counts. That was the verdict today in the murder trial of 18-year-old Ray Allen Ogle. After about 3 hours of deliberation, the 12-member jury found Ogle guilty in the August 25th murder and robbery of Jasper cab driver Dennis Red Coble. The Jasper teenager was convicted of 1 count of murder, 1 count of felony murder, and 1 count of robbery. After the verdict was read in Du Bois Circuit Court, Ogle took off his glasses and hung his head while his mother sat crying in the back of the courtroom. Coble's daughter, Angie Gabbard, however, was ecstatic with the jury's decision.
It's great. I'm sorry that other people have got to cry, his mother and all, but I'm so happy. I can't cry. I'm so happy right now. I'm nervous. I felt that the jury would come back with a verdict like this. I was praying anyways. I'm happy.
Gabbard says it wasn't easy to sit through the 7-day trial.
Seeing photographs of what we saw that my father went through, there's nobody on the face of the earth that should ever go through that, ever. But the verdict came back the way all of us wanted to, and we're happy, and that's all that matters now.
Defense attorney Steve Ripstra believes the jury based most of its decision on 1 piece of evidence.
Had to be the blood. I mean, that was really all there was here, those 2 spots of blood and the DNA analysis, so had to be.
The jury will return to the Du Bois County courtroom tomorrow morning for the sentencing hearing. Coble's family has asked prosecutor Bill Weichert not to seek the death penalty. The maximum sentence Ogle can receive is life in prison without parole. The Northeast Du Bois School Board met in its regular session last night. School Board President Larry Lori gave an update on the proposed middle school renovation project.
Okay, on Friday, the Secretary of the Building Corporation and myself and our attorney and superintendent met with the bond counsel, Bowles, McKinney, and Evans in Indianapolis. And in less than a 5-minute conversation, a 3-way conversation, they transferred $5.295 million into our account in the trustees' bank, Du Bois County Bank. And where we're at now, the architect has sent out the contracts to the winning bidders, and they are to begin at any time. We're really expecting some work, preliminary work, to begin next week, even while our children are still in school.
Lori says the renovation project should be completed during the 1997-98 school year. He says the renovation will continue while school is in session next year, but should not be a distraction to students or teachers. In other business last night, the board discussed the recent hail damage to the middle school gym roof and the elementary school roof. Northeast Du Bois School Corporation Maintenance Director Marvin Betts showed the board a videotape of the damage to the 2 roofs. Betts says there are over 3,000 holes in the 2 roofs. The board has declared a state of emergency and is seeking quotes from every roofer in Du Bois County. In other news, the board approved of a new policy to determine when to name the high school valedictorian. The board decided that the valedictorian will be named after 7 semesters and 2 grading periods, as opposed to waiting until the end of the spring semester. The board set the policy so the valedictorian has plenty of notice to write his or her speech and notify relatives. This will also prevent a great family embarrassment for students down the road who find out they are not valedictorian the day before graduation. In other business, the board recognized the high school academic bowl team, which placed first in the social studies competition in Indianapolis. The school will soon receive a customized road sign from Ameritech stating the school's state championship status. I'll be back with more news after this.
There was a very strong emphasis, I think, in our discussions on the need to focus more of our educational effort on the non-college bound student. The person who goes to high school or maybe goes to a technical school or a vocational school and then wants to go into the workforce. These are critically important people in our communities because they do so much of the work of the community and of the enterprises in the community. Many of the people in the discussion groups were focusing on what we can do for these people to improve the level of training and education and skill.
Linda Beeker, Vincent University Jasper Center Director of Continuing Education, attended the meeting and agrees. She sees many layers or levels of students.
It seems that those kids who are in the upper levels of the class, who are going to a four-year school, are strongly encouraged to pursue that, and as well they should be. There's also a group of the next level of kids will also very likely be successful. It seems like there's multi-layers. It's not just gifted and average. And in there are the kids who certainly have potential, but have kind of been led to believe that you don't go away and do something with your life, you're not really doing anything with your life. You don't have any other options. And I think that that's unfair. I think those kids need to realize that maybe they cannot go away. Maybe they don't need to go away. There are opportunities here. The workforce here needs them. The workforce here, I believe that we are the community we are because of our business and our industry and what it has given back to the community.
Those attending the round table were also in agreement that more informal meetings between business and education would help define needs better. Tony Frick, TV 27 News.
It's time now for our weekly Pet of the Week segment. Laverne Brosmer of the Du Bois County Humane Society tells us about this week's pet.
Okay, this is Sam. He's a real beauty. He has a very black tongue, so that means chow. He was abandoned. He was found walking along the highway, and he made his way in here covered with ticks, and they're still taking ticks off of him. But he is a very beautiful dog. He's had his shots, and he's been wormed, and he's ready to go.
You know about how old he is?
I think that he's less than 2.
Adoption hours at the Humane Shelter are Wednesdays from 4:30 till 6:30 p.m. and on Saturdays from 12:30 until 2:30 p.m. The 1996 Huntingburg Foundation recipients were announced Friday at the Southridge High School Academic Awards ceremony. The $500 scholarships went to Southridge seniors Anastasia Hubert, Ryan Savory, Paula Vance, and Aaron Sheeter. The 4 recipients were selected from over 30 applications this year. The foundation says it selected the 4 students because they have shown a history of participating in the community, a career plan that includes the desire to return to the local community, a deep desire to succeed academically, a need for financial assistance, and a willingness to assist in financing their education beyond high school. The Huntingburg Foundation is a nonprofit organization serving as a vehicle for anyone with charitable desire. Income produced by the scholarship fund makes it possible for the foundation to assist local students. I'll be back with more news right after this. Turning to state news now. It's almost time for summer break for Indiana school children, and while an increasing number of school districts in the United States are turning to year-round academic calendars, don't look for educators in the Wabash Valley to follow suit anytime soon. The reason is many of the schools in the western Indiana region have not seen the population growth that make year-round schooling popular in other areas. The Wabash Valley isn't alone in shunning year-round school. Of the state's hundreds of school districts, just 4 Indiana elementary schools and 1 middle school have been using year-round calendars since the early 1990s. At least 5 more schools will join them this fall. The Indiana Republican Party Platform Committee will hold a public hearing in Indianapolis tomorrow. The committee will draft the party's 1996 platform and solicit public comment at its meeting. The committee's members were announced over the weekend by State Party Chairman Mike McDaniel. The committee includes 6 state representatives and 6 state senators. Temperatures are climbing into the 90s this election year. That means the Republican and Democratic state conventions must be just around the corner. While both hold their conventions next month, the two parties are charting different courses to get there. Democrats are seeking total unity before their convention doors swing open. Republicans are hoping for the same after their convention doors close. Democratic Party officials have taken steps to ensure that choices for major state candidates are foregone conclusions by convention time. Republican convention delegates, on the other hand, will have some tough choices to make. That includes the superintendent of public instruction race, in which incumbent Sue Ellen Reed faces challenges from 2 other Republicans. 2 groups now want to build Indiana's second parimutuel horse track in Marion County. One of the groups is headed by Hamilton County developer Paul Estridge, and he says he wants to put the track at the Indiana State Fairgrounds. But the project would need approval from Marion County voters because it would be built on public property. Last week, another group proposed building a track on the east side of Indianapolis. That project would need no voter approval. Developers would need to win approval from the Indiana Horse Racing Commission no matter where the track is placed. The state's first parimutuel track, Hoosier Park in Anderson, opened in 1994. An Indiana mother and baby are doing well this morning, or today I should say, after a birth aboard a Continental Airlines flight. The Hobart, Indiana woman gave birth yesterday as the plane approached Cleveland Hopkins International Airport for a regularly scheduled landing. The mourning goes on for family members of victims killed in the crash of Value Jet Flight 592 near Miami. About 200 people filled Northview Christian Life Church in Carmel yesterday for a service in memory of 20-year-old Brad Urukman. The third-year Ball State architecture student was one of 10 Indiana citizens killed in the May 11th crash. A new law designed to collect unpaid child support may have more bark than bite. The law threatens deadbeat parents with the suspension of their driver's or professional licenses if they don't pay up. But the State Child Support Bureau and county prosecutors aren't doing much to enforce it. Last fall, the state mailed out more than 30,000 warning letters to deadbeat parents who owed at least $4,000. As of May 1st, the Bureau of Motor Vehicles had suspended only 139 driver's licenses under the law, and only 2 professional licenses were suspended. But Marion County Deputy Prosecutor John Owens says many deadbeat parents don't have licenses to suspend. Purdue researchers say parents of hyperactive children might not be feeding their kids enough fish. A Purdue study of 96 boys found that the ones with low levels of omega-3 fatty acid in their blood were more likely to have behavior problems associated with hyperactivity. Omega-3 fatty acids are found in fish and other seafoods. The harsh weather that has kept Midwestern farmers out of their fields this spring may keep bacon off some of the tables next year. Prices for top-grade bacon are rising largely because of a shortage of pork bellies. The fast food industry has been sweeping up much of the supply of bacon for its premium burgers. Supplies are likely to tighten further now that McDonald's has jumped into the market with its new Arch Deluxe burger. Supplies of pork bellies have already dropped 40% from 1995, and fears of a shortage jacked up the commodities prices last week. A poor corn and soybean crop could force some pork producers to slaughter more hogs, which means there will be fewer in 1997. A delay in sending out property tax bills is hurting some Lake County schools. The schools have taken out millions of dollars in loans in an attempt to cover expenses such as teacher salaries and utility bills. Schools receive twice annual installments of property tax money, but glitches in the state's new computer software have delayed assessments and payouts by months. After this break, Kurt Gutgsell will return with a look at sports. Stay with us.
Welcome to sports, everyone. In semi-pro baseball yesterday, the Jasper Reds swept a doubleheader from the Huntingburg Merchants. In Game 1, former Jasper pitcher Jared Brosmer fired a complete Game 4 hitter in a 2-0 Reds shutout. Scott Kunkel had 2 singles for the Reds. And in Game 2, the Reds came away with an 11-4 win. Rich Eiler hit 2 3-run home runs for the Reds. Steve Julian also went deep. Reds are now 4-1 overall and 2-0 in league play. The Reds play at Rockport on Sunday. In other action from over the weekend, Northeast DuBois won the Sullivan Varsity Baseball Invitational on Saturday. In Game 1, the Jeeps shut out Turkey Run 4-0. Then in the championship game, the Jeeps bombed Sullivan 12-1. The Jeeps travel to Jasper tonight for a ball game that begins at 7 o'clock. You can see it tonight at 9:30 here on WJTS. Also live coverage on WBDC Radio beginning at 6:50. Elsewhere, Jasper won the girls tennis sectional on Saturday with a 5-0 shutout of Forest Park. Single winners for Jasper included Tara Williams, Tara Kiefner, and Vicki Hurst. Meanwhile, in the doubles competition, Jessica Corbett and Lauren Seger took the 1 doubles, while Leslie Schwartz and Angie Voles were winners in 2 doubles. With the win, the Wildcats move on to the regional to be played at the JHS courts on Wednesday afternoon. The Cats will play Lagodi, while number 1 Evansville Memorial will square off against Heritage Hills. Elsewhere, Heritage Hills won the PAC Boys Golf Tournament, played Saturday down on their home course at Christmas Lake. Southridge was in 6th place. Brian Jesse of South Spencer was the meet medalist. He fired a 77. In other boys golf, Jasper finished 2nd in the Terre Haute North Golf Invitational at Holman Links. The host Patriots fired a 326. Jasper had a 335, while Columbus North tallied a 348. Noah Place led the Wildcats with an 80. Andy Seger had an 84. Nick Abbott shot 85, while Landon Raker shot an 86. Former Forest Park baseball standout Bryan Partenheimer will be playing in the upcoming NCAA Division I baseball tournament. Partenheimer and his fellow IU Hoosiers won the Big Ten tournament yesterday at Penn State with a 6-4 win over Illinois. The Hoosiers are now 42-16 and winning their first ever NCAA berth and their first Big Ten championship since way back in 1949. Partenheimer, a junior left-hander, Friday scattered 8 hits and going the distance against Penn State. Partenheimer now 8-2 on the season. The Indianapolis Motor Speedway will be quiet for at least a couple of days. They finished Indy 500 qualifying yesterday. They will run the race next Sunday, of course, weather permitting. Team Menard announced yesterday they have coaxed Danny Ongaias out of IndyCar retirement. He will be in the car qualified by Scott Brayton, who was killed as the result of a crash on Friday. Although the soon-to-be 54-year-old Ongaias hasn't driven at Indy since 1986, he has been active on other racing circuits around the world. Meanwhile, Dan Drynan is reported in good condition following hip surgery yesterday. The rookie driver was injured in a crash Wednesday at the Brickyard. The Indiana Pacers will pick 23rd and 52nd in this summer's NBA draft. The draft will be held June 26th at the Meadowlands. League announced the draft order yesterday. Philadelphia has the first pick of the upcoming draft, followed by Toronto, Vancouver, Milwaukee, and Minnesota. On the golf tours this weekend, Corey Pavin raises career earnings to nearly $7.5 million. He wins the PGA's Colonial at Fort Worth, Texas. Pavin shot a 100 par 69 yesterday after a pair of 67s. Pavin was 8 under for the tournament. He was better, 2 shots better, I should say, than runner-up Jeff Sluman. And Bob Murphy set a tournament record in winning the Cadillac NFL Senior Classic in northern New Jersey. Murph closed the final round 69 and finished at a record 14 under par 202. He never trailed after firing a record 62 in the opening round. Jay Siegel was second, 2 shots off the pace. And don't forget tonight, high school baseball, Jasper and Northeast DuBois from Rooksur, right here on WJTS at 9:30. Bryan's back with more after this.
Welcome back. Here's a look at the top movies from over the weekend. Number 3 was The Truth About Cats and Dogs. The romantic comedy grossed $3.2 million. Flipper was number 2 at the box office. The TV show turned movie raked in $4.5 million. And the number 1 weekend movie was Twister. It pulled in $38.1 million. The warm and dry weather we had over the weekend is exactly what southwestern Indiana needed, but will continue. Let's check out the WJTS forecast to find out. For tonight, partly cloudy with a low around 67, and for tomorrow, partly sunny with a 30% chance of afternoon thunderstorms and a high near 88. And finally, a three-legged frog has a leg up on the competition at California's Jumping Frog Jubilee. The name of the winner says it all. 3 legs are better than none. Bryan Cummings in his three-legged amphibian took home the top prize of $750 at yesterday's Calaveras County contest. The annual competition grew out of a Mark Twain story, and now the three-legged frog is part of the legend. Cummings says he found his frog in a canal near Sacramento. He figures the frog lost a front leg after being attacked in the wild, but Cummings says only having 3 legs helped the frog develop stronger wind legs. The winning jump was nearly 13 feet on 3 hops. Cummings is going to reward his champ frog with something an amphibian appreciates, a gourmet croaker dinner of fresh flies. That's a look at our news tonight. Thanks for joining us. For Kirk Gutgsell, I'm Brian Kelly. Good night, everyone.
Well, my mom and pop